Every April for Autism Acceptance Month, I host a fundraiser called Makers for a Cause. And last year, thanks to this amazing maker community, we raised over $4,000 that I was able to deliver to a local special needs schools that works directly with children on the spectrum. This year, I had an idea to do something a little different, something that really represents what this community is all about. So I'm going to build a box. But not just any box. This is going to be the Maker's Treasure Box, a keepsake box built here in my shop that'll be filled with small, handmade pieces donated by makers from all over the country, and even Canada. Each item inside represents someone who decided to lend their talent to help support a cause that means a lot to not only me and my family, but to so many of us here in the maker community. I talk to people all the time thanks to this fundraiser that tell me that how they have been touched by this cause. Personally, my daughter is autistic and she's nonverbal. But just because she doesn't speak with words doesn't mean she doesn't have a voice. And that's something that really shaped why this fundraiser exists. Because every child deserves the tools and opportunities that help them communicate, connect, and be understood. That's why every dollar that's raised from this Makers for a Cause fundraiser goes to a local special needs school that supports kids on the autism spectrum. It helps fund communication technology, learning tools, and resources that'll give students new ways to express themselves. And the amazing part is getting to see the impact happening right here in our community. So the idea behind this project is simple. Build one beautiful box and fill it with the creativity of the maker community. Now that our box is cut, before we can cut the dados for the top and the bottom, we have to pick our material for the top and the bottom and mill it to our final size. So I have this really beautiful curly maple here. I'm gonna measure this, I'm gonna cut it about 15 inches, and then I'll splice off this and make the top and the bottom. For the lid and bottom panel, I wanted to complement the walnut, so I chose a piece of the craziest curly maple that has some incredible figure running through it. Once it's finished, that grain is going to catch the light in a way that's going to make the box just pop. And for a project like this, picking the perfect pieces of lumber matters more than anything. This isn't just another box I'm building for the shop. It's something that represents an entire community of makers coming together for a cause that means a lot to me and my family. And when I'm collaborating with other makers, I instinctively feel like I have to step my game up. Because every flaw I see, chances are they're gonna see them too. As I worked through milling this board, I kept thinking about how many different people are gonna be a part of this project. Makers who donated their time, their materials, and their craft so we could turn this simple idea into something much bigger. That's something I've always admired about this community. When someone has a chance to help, they don't hesitate. They just show up. And that's exactly what this treasure box represents. Different makers, different styles, and different skills, all coming together for one project. And I guess you could say that's exactly what drew me to this idea, is a whole community coming together as one. So once the panels were milled and prepped, it was time to finally start bringing this box together. All the pieces that were just separate minutes ago suddenly start turning into that perfect grain-wrapped final project. And in this case, it felt especially fitting. Because just like this box, the project only really works when everything comes together. The glue has set, but before moving forward, I wanted to take some time to clean everything up and make sure the surfaces were perfectly flat. With a project like this, the small details are what really make the final piece feel special. As I started thinking about this project, I knew I wanted the box itself to feel really unique. Something that could stand on its own as a keepsake. And speaking of the materials for this build, I also want to take a moment to say thank you to Cali Hardwoods. This gorgeous figured wood that I grain wrapped around this box was generously donated by them. And this isn't a paid ad or anything like that, they simply wanted to get more involved after they were introduced to the fundraiser last year. Like I hear from so many families, autism has touched theirs as well, and they were excited to be a part of this. So this box really starts with their generosity. And from there, that becomes the theme of the build, as the maker community gets to be more and more a part of it. To reinforce the miter joints and add a little visual interest, I decided to add splines to each corner of the box. Splines are one of those small woodworking details that do two things at once. They strengthen the joint, like they actually do what they're supposed to do and strengthen the joint. But they also create an opportunity to introduce a contrasting wood that really makes the corners stand out. And for this box, those little details felt especially important, because every part of this build represents the time and care that people are putting into the fundraiser. From the wood donation, to the makers contributing pieces, to everyone who enters the raffle. This entire project is really built on generosity and community. And it's pretty amazing to me to think about what started as a simple idea in the shop has now turning into something that so many people are a part of. If you've ever built a box before, you probably know exactly what moment this is. This is the part where it's time to cut the lid free from the body. And it's also the moment where things can go right or very wrong. At this stage, the entire project is basically riding on a few careful passes through a table saw. One mistake here and well, let's just say call it a day and try again tomorrow. So I'm going to take this step slowly, multiple shallow passes, and try and give the box the best chance of coming out clean. And I'll be honest, no matter how many cuts you've made, this part always gets your attention. But when everything works the way it's supposed to, it's the most satisfying moments of the entire build. After separating the lid, I clean up the cut edges with just a little sanding. Not much though, just enough to get that nice clean reveal. One of the things I love about building boxes this way is that the grain wraps continuously around the entire piece. So when the lid opens, it still feels like it belongs exactly where it came from. But if you remove too much material, you really start tempting fate with messing up that perfect grain wrap. Alright, now that everything's nice and flat and looking perfect, we need to keep it from sliding off. Did you know that was even cut? I guess you watched the video, so you didn't know that. Anyway. So in order to avoid the box lid from sliding off, we're going to do some liners. I milled up some wenge and some maple. So I think I'm going to use some of the matching maple on the ends and the wenge on the long sides. We're going to create a little liner. Let's do that now. With the lid separated, the next step was adding the liner that's going to sit just on the inside of the box. And this is one of those details that can serve a couple different purposes at the same time. Functionally, the liner gives the lid something to register against when it closes, which keeps everything aligned and secure. But it's also an opportunity to add a little more design into the box. So for this one, I went with a two-tone combination of the curly maple and wenge. The lighter maple keeps the inside bright, while the wenge adds a little bit of contrast and definition. And because the liner sits slightly proud of the box walls, it adds another visual layer when the lid is removed. You end up seeing a thinner wood, a different species, and a bit of depth that makes the whole box feel more dimensional. Getting the liner to fit properly takes a little patience. I started by cutting the pieces to rough length and mitering the corners. From there, it's really just a matter of sneaking up on that final fit, pass by pass, until the miters close up perfectly. And once I had one side dialed in, I set up a stop block so the opposite side could be cut to the same exact length. A stop block is great here because it eliminates any small variations that can happen when measuring piece by piece. And it also helps keep the miters tight by reducing any deflection from the blade. After a few careful passes, everything finally dropped into place exactly how I wanted. So once I was happy with the dry fit, it was time to glue the liner into the box and lock that detail in for good. So as I'm looking for some inspiration for the handle, I pulled out my walnut scrap bin and I came across a few of these pieces. I think they're all from the same board. And I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but as I found these pieces, I'm finding some of this natural sapwood in here with the darker walnut, like here and here. And most times you'd probably maybe try to avoid that, but the actual box has some really beautiful figure grain wrap, and it has some of this blonder wood in it, so I think it might complement it well. So I'm going to clean these up and see what they look like. With the box nearly finished, the last detail to tackle was the handle. And when it came to choosing the wood for this piece, I actually went in the opposite of direction of what I normally do. No, that wasn't it. I'm thinking this, nice chunk of this. Instead of picking the wildest figured piece I could find, I went with something much more subtle. The small streak of sapwood running through this piece reminded me of the blonde streak in the box itself. And that felt like the decision was made for me here. So after cutting the blank to size, I headed over to the router table and gave it a profile using a 30-degree chamfer bit. After that, I started laying out the angles for the ends. I want to do just enough shaping to soften the edges and give it a little personality. Once I felt good about the shape, I locked the handle down at the miter saw, and I made the cuts to bring those angles to life. I'll be the first one to admit that I tend to overthink things quite a bit. But honestly, woodworking might be one of those few places where that actually works in my favor. Because the goal wasn't to make the handle steal the show, but rather to have it quietly tie everything together. To make sure everything landed exactly where I wanted it, I used a couple of scrap pieces as registration blocks. These are going to help position the handle both vertically and horizontally. For the glue up, I used a little bit of wood glue for long-term strength and a couple of dabs of CA glue to act like a temporary clamp. That subtle trick lets you lock those pieces in position almost instantly, and it'll give you enough time to get those real clamps on it without worrying about anything moving around. And once the clamps were on, the final detail of the box was officially in place. And just like that, the final piece of the puzzle brings the whole box to life. Finish always has a way of doing that in woodworking. It takes something that looked good before, but it suddenly reveals all the character that was hiding inside the piece. But while I'm proud of how this box turned out, it was never meant to be the whole story. Because the real purpose of this project isn't just the box itself, it's what's going inside. And that's where the maker community comes in. Now it's time to build the maker's treasure box. First up, Jay from Goat Hot Woodworks blessed us with this beautiful handmade box made entirely with hand tools. That fit is beautiful. And inside, look at that. To put in Jay's box, we're gonna start with a bottle opener coaster from Bryan at 9 Strong Creations. And a beautiful leather snap pouch with the laser engraving on the inside from Looney Leather. I can't tell you how nice this feels, and this is only gonna get nicer as the time goes on. And then an absolutely beautiful butterfly magnet piece of art from our guy, James at Honest Hand Studios, Canada. Just absolutely beautiful. So let's go ahead and close this little box up and see what else we can get in here. Looney Leather wasn't done. They sent this absolutely beautiful leather tool pouch with, again, with the rivets. You put your tools in here. Just great quality, beautiful. Bryan from 9 Strong Creations also did these beautiful ring trays, these amazingly curly maple. I mean, you can just see the figure in these 2 matching ring trays. Jackson from JCS Workshop, unbelievable maple burl screwdriver. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. Who doesn't need a screwdriver? Gorgeous. Tony from Tony Turns Wood, absolutely beautiful desk clock. My son saw this and fell in love with it. He is 5, but he wanted it for himself. He can't even tell time yet, but he just knew how beautiful this was. Here's one I made. This is the Queen of Spades. This is made from the same maple and wenge that the liners are made from, and it's a playing card deck holder. Nice friction fit, and then you got the magnets up top. Jess from A Script Ingrained donated this really nice mug warmer. You have the insert here, and then the laser engraved all the instructions. Beautiful set. Steve from Scherzer Created turned this beautiful bottle opener. Gotta love the depth of all that green in there. And if you want to see some colorful stuff, this is Don from Lehman Made. I mean, absolutely beautiful. This bottle stop opener. He asked me, do you want to do something plain? I said, no, Don. Do you, show your personality. And he sure did. Absolutely stunning. And the last thing we have for now, more things will be rolling in, so check my Instagram, but are these beautiful pattern coasters from Rich at Unknown Woodworking. It's a set of 5. He's got the cork on here. I mean, these are just absolutely stunning. The time it takes to make this kind of pattern, weeks. Beautiful. I guess my box has officially runneth over. And that's exactly how I feel about doing this fundraiser with this community. I'm so very grateful for everyone that has donated an item, bid, and just shared and got the word out. So until next time, I hope to see you guys for year 4 of this fundraiser. Have a great day.